Hello and welcome. We are the Aussie guys. I'm AJ. Here with me is G. How are you, G?
I forgot about my mic. I had to get it up off the ground.
Man, you're ragging on me for professionalism.
yeah.
And do you have your headphones on? Check.
Check.
Mic.
Laptop.
Check.
No, one sheet of paper.
I've got to try and one sheet of paper. I'm just moving you around a little bit here.
Moved into technology.
I realise you're behind your wings there.
That's okay.
That's all right, because I'm going to change the view up in just a second. We do have a special guest, and I'm going to get him on the blower because we don't want to waste any time. Let me just add him in here. Oh, man, if I can work out where my mouse is. Here we go. Let me just add him into the stream. And just need to unmute yourself there, Memphis. But a warm welcome. Now, it's been a little while since we had Randy on, and obviously all of our viewers will be well aware of Mr. Randy from the Dynasty Warzone, because they all subscribe and listen to him every week. Multiple man, you're podding like so many pods coming through that stream, Randy. A warm welcome to you, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me back. Super excited to be back. I feel like a bad friend, but it's been too long. I'm very happy to be back. How have you guys been?
Good, mate. You're sitting in your car out the front of work.
Truck.
You like
truck. No.
Sorry, truck.
Well, when you drive a truck, you don't drive a car.
Okay. Obviously compensating for something. But what are you driving? What is it? Is it like a GMC or?
No, I feel like the guy. So this is kind of a states thing. You have those angry, like loud guys who scream about politics or whatever. They do it from their truck. I feel like that. I drive a simple Toyota Tacoma.
Okay.
Good on gas. We have the ability to move heavy things if you have to. But no, I was just giving you a hard time about the truck. I really don't care. What's that?
Instead of the what is the Lincoln Lawyer, you like the Toyota Podcaster?
You know, this is my third podcast in this truck. I did the Scott Fishbowl 10 podathon. I did one of my podcasts from here, and here I am with you guys.
Mate, it's better quality than when you're at your own place.
You know that would have been true beforehand. We have since done a major studio upgrade, and look forward to having you guys on. I got to let G get one piece of paper is not a lot. Normally it's dozens.
Yes.
And for those of you on the metric system, that's units of 12. G will have dozens of sheets of paper, and he'll be able to come on our podcast, and you guys will be able to check out some of the new stuff. Now, our graphics aren't quite, got pictures of guys with wings, but we have a young man named Matt. We call him Matty. He does a great job with our graphics. So we have a full studio upgrade the next time you guys stop by.
Mate, you've got
Very nice.
You've got the whole sponsorship. I don't know what you call them at the back, the screen behind you when you're doing your
banners.
The banners. Yeah.
I work with a gentleman who has his own printing company on the side, and he makes those banners in his garage. And I saw another podcast had one. I was like, that looks really nice. That looks professional. So I ordered a couple of those. Cool thing was Jerry only let his sit in a closet for about a month before he actually finally got around to hanging his up. I'm
and
like,
didn't iron it either. It's probably all crinkled and creased.
It was for a while. So if you go back and watch some of our older YouTube stuff, you will see that Jerry's banner has where it was shipped, where it was folded. But he's let it hang long enough now. Most of the wrinkles have popped out, so we got that going for us.
You need to get someone who's a little bit more professional.
We did. Kyle from the formerly of the Fellas, currently of the SmackDown. He is going to be doing some redraft content for us this upcoming season. He's got a new surprise co-host coming up. And then we have another Kyle, because you can never have enough Kyle in your life. Mm-hmm. We have a doctor. He is a doctor of physical therapy. His name is Kyle. And he's going to jump on with, we call him the good Kyle and then evil Dr. Kyle. They will be doing a waiver wire show on Tuesdays on the FF SmackDown where Dr. Kyle gives you how bad the injury potentially could be, the effects on your roster and your player. And then the good Kyle, our Kyle, he will then help you pick out some waiver wire guys. So we've got some good stuff coming for you.
Beautiful.
Very
I was
nice.
going to say, like you get on there on the Dynasty Warzone, mate, it's almost a 7-day week operation.
We're going to have, going into 2021, we'll have 8 shows in 7 days.
Ooh.
And,
Wow. You're not going to get one out of 8 days out of us.
Well, you guys are smarter than me. Hey, I have this side job that pays very little. Let me do more of it. That's brilliant. That's brilliant use of your time. But no, we have 8 guys. We'll be doing hosts. We brought on 2 gentlemen named Tyler and Lou who help us with some DFS content. Yep. You won't have to put up with any one of us more than 2 shows a week.
Oh, that's like
the best part is what I'm looking forward to is next year on Sundays we're going to have a live streaming show on YouTube where you can jump on, ask start-sit questions about anything from 11:30 a.m. Eastern until 1 p.m. Eastern when the games kick here in the States.
Okay, what are we doing? We sleep?
Sleeping.
We're sleeping.
Sleeping, yeah. That's like 3 in the morning.
Oh, 3 in the morning. Jeez. We had one of our listeners wanted to know why he couldn't come on at like 3:10 a.m. this morning. I tweeted it out.
I could have. I mean, I probably could have got like 5 a.m. my time, so that would have been 2 hours ago your time.
Yeah, no, we're all good. So what we have you on for today, Randers, is we're going to talk about the Dynasty outlook. You know, keepers, stashes, go through the whole lot with you, and just work out like everybody be starting to look at their rosters now that the season's over, and work out who am I going to keep, who am I going to get rid of, who can I trade for, who can I trade away, what are the values. So if you're up for that, mate, we'll get stuck into some of these questions that I sent out to you. So we'll start with the first one, and the first one would be, what guys are you looking at the moment? Do you sort of just stashing away?
And actually, I'm just going to add in to the comment, just to the intro of what you said, G, which was great. But I was going to say, dealing in this time of the year, Andy, it's risky. There's a lot of stuff ahead of us, right? Obviously, coaching changes. Well, there already some have dropped, right? And coaching changes. You have free agency still on the horizon. We have obviously the draft still on the horizon. So you have a lot of moving pieces. But what I would say actually to savvy Dynasty players is that this is actually a really interesting time when you can get good value, because a lot of Dynasty players are really risk averse, right? And here you can roll the dice. Now, you might lose, but you can have big wins. You can have big wins at this time of year using this. Not my hat, but under the hat.
What, your lack of hair?
Yeah, my lack of hair. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think you summed it up very well. First of all, in any market with incomplete information, you know, gambling market, the finance market, and we can even bring this to Dynasty fantasy football, is that you have to assume that everything you know, your league mates know, and that's baked into the price already. So anything that you know, I love the way you use the word risk. You know, free agency's coming, and I think there's a good opportunity to buy veterans. What's everybody want right now? In my leagues, everybody wants the same thing. They want to dump Derrick Henry off in your lap, and they want you to give them DeAndre Swift in your draft picks. It's pretty much universal across the board. But yeah, if you're willing to go out like a Juju Smith-Schuster's value has been depressed for a little while, didn't have the best last 2 years. He's going to be a free agent. And if you feel comfortable being risky, maybe he lands in a Houston and Deshaun Watson stays, or maybe he goes to a team that the New York Giants, who I think are on the right track, then you could be getting some equity. So yes, you have to project positively and negatively how potential moves could impact these guys. And if you are correct and you do your work, you can make tremendous value that way.
Because that's the thing. It's the same with the stock market as well, right?
Right.
Is that the risky stocks are the ones that are going to make you the most money. And yes, you can invest in gold, and gold always increases in value. Fine. But if you're happy just kind of sitting and just earning a couple of percent per annum, fine. But if you want to make the real big gains, sometimes you just got to risk it, haven't you? You got to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah. Bruce Arians put it best. You got to risk it for the biscuit. And, you don't want to overextend and put yourself in harm's way. But I know that no one goes broke buying Microsoft, but no one really is going to get rich at this point buying Microsoft. It's peaked. So you got to go out and try to find that next Microsoft. And that next one's going to blow up. And I think we're going to talk about some of these guys this morning.
Yeah. Now, and also when you're looking at guys at the moment, Randy, when you start looking at guys that are still playing in the playoffs, there's the risk part of that too, of them something happening in the next couple of weeks compared to the guys that have already finished the season as well.
True.
Yeah. But as modern medicine has advanced, there's not too many injuries a player could get right now that would concern me going into 2021. One of the things that I've done and I've been talking about is already focusing on free agency. While your league mates are looking at rookie picks and while your league mates are looking at watching the playoffs, right now, I've advised like some of our premium subscribers that, start going by team. You need to look at a team's salary cap. You need to look at a team's potential free agents. Who will they bring back? If they don't bring them back, who stands to benefit? I'll do the one that I shared with them, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, as we talk today, now the cap number could change and what have you, but the Kansas City Chiefs are $16 million over the projected cap in 2020. Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, Le'Veon Bell, and Darrell Williams are all potential free agents. Who stands to benefit from that? Well, a simple volume equation tells you Mecole Hardman has a great opportunity in 2021. Not only will there be potential more volume for him and a great offense with a great quarterback, but he is one Tyreek Hill off the field incident. He's one Tyreek Hill injury away from being given wide receiver one volume in an offense that we know is awesome. So I know that potentially he's been good, but we've got a good young wide receiver class that just came in. The rookie class of 2021 looks pretty good, and you might be able right now to buy some value on a guy like Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, because his value is still what it currently is.
Kind of like around a second, and nothing's really going to change unless the game on Sunday he has like 8 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then he'll see a bump, but no one else is thinking about that right now. So if I could give up my 2021 second for Mecole Hardman, I have a lot more knowns with Mecole Hardman than I do with the second, but I also know that second is definitely going to increase in value over the next 3 months.
Well, just talking about wide receivers, then, Randers, is two guys. One we've already mentioned, which is Juju Smith-Schuster, and the other one is Allen Robinson, who's also a free agent, unrestricted free agent. So let's talk about those guys. Like someone like Allen Robinson, like he's going to, unless he gets some really good coin, is he the type of guy that you'd be looking at that he might say, well, I need to go somewhere else? Like Mitch Trubisky, they're going to have to roll with him probably again next year. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback. Does there come a point where you start maybe trying to buy or sell Allen Robinson based on the fact that he's a free agent?
Well, 2 things about Allen Robinson. One, don't cry to me anymore. All his Dynasty fans and redraft fans are like, oh, poor Allen Robinson, I hope he gets a quarterback. Dude, you chose Mitch Trubisky. That's a you problem. No one forced you to go to Chicago. I'll give you the first few years of your career you were stuck with Blake Bortles because you were drafted there. But you chose Chicago because you chose the money. Cool. You're now 27, almost 28 years old. Now you can choose Aaron Rodgers. Now you can choose the quarterback and the team. So, but from a dynasty standpoint with Allen Robinson, I'm kind of giving you tomorrow's newspaper today because this is something I'm going to be covering very soon. Is he's in a window of elite wide receivers in dynasty in that 28 to 29-year-old window that even though it's probably a year too early, I'm going to go ahead and start cashing out on. I'll give you my list. It's DeAndre Hopkins, it's Michael Thomas, it's Keenan Allen, and it's Allen Robinson. That 28 to 29-year-old window. We're not talking about them like that yet, but within, I would say, a year or less, they're going to get lumped in the way that we're talking about guys like Julio Jones right now, the way we're talking about AJ Green right now, and to some degrees T.Y. Hilton. They'll still be extremely useful on your dynasty roster. They're just going to be less valuable than they are now. And it's just because of the echo chamber of Twitter and the dynasty space in general. And I'm always going to be a year early. I know Derrick Henry had a great season this year, but now every podcast that you listen to from a dynasty standpoint, I already saw it last weekend, sell Derrick Henry. And I just want to say, no shit. You mean a guy going into year 6 at the running back position who's had his level of volume the last 2.5 years? You should sell him? Are you kidding me? Wow. That's great information. Not really. Again, because you assume if you know it, your league mates know it, and they're going to make you either give them a discount or they're going to make you, take less on the dollar. So I'm trying to stay 6 months to, I'd say 3 to 6 months to 12 months ahead of my competition.
So, okay, so we're on the running backs, as you mentioned with Derrick Henry. Some other free agent running backs. Any of these guys take your fancy either way? You got Kenyon Drake. We got Mike Davis, who had a great year without
CMC.
CMC. We got Leonard Fournette. We got Le'Veon Bell, who we already spoke about. We got James Conner. We got Marlon Mack, the forgotten guy in Indy. And Aaron Jones and someone like Philip Lindsay. So any of those guys that sort of ring a bell either way for you in Dynasty?
I live in Indy, so I have a little bit of news. It sounds like Marlon Mack's rehab and getting back to health after the Achilles injury sounds like it's going pretty well. Based on the success of Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines will be in the final year of his rookie deal, it really feels like that will be the Colts' running back field. And they'll continue to mix in the Jordan Wilkins and, like a different third running back. So I think Marlon Mack to me is the lottery ticket. There's another great guy. If you can get him now at a cheaper price, and then you're hoping and projecting that he gets a job in San Francisco, or he gets a job in Miami, or he gets a job with the New York Jets, or a team that wants a veteran running back. Maybe he's in a two-headed monster. But again, you acquire him now for a lesser price, then he signs in that good position in March when the free agency season starts. And then you're able to either use him for a season on a contender, or you can move him at an inflated value once that news becomes positive. But if you want to wait until he signs, assume that you're going to pay an additional price for waiting until he signs.
Depending on where he signs.
Now, if he takes a horrible, which I don't think he would. Obviously he's a running back, so it's a different market. But yeah, I would assume he went to school in Florida. I could see him, speaking with the Dolphins. They've got cap space. I would assume that they would want to use those picks to bring in weapons for the offense and fortify the offensive line. Plus, you got a defensive-minded head coach who would like to have some more defensive players to work with. So, and just from the research I've done on the rookie running back class, this is not a great class. You're talking about the 2017 class, even the class from this past year. This class is very top-heavy. You got the big two, and then there's some question marks. So because of that, I really like some of the guys in free agency in 2021.
Okay, now the sophomore guys, the second years, I think we can all say that Justin Jefferson's price is probably a little high, and deservedly so.
through the
years that he's
roof.
had. But let's look at the other guys. Look, we got Mims in at the Jets. We've seen what Pittman did last week and has showed. Both of them have showed flashes. So let's take those two guys who are at probably and T Higgins. So how are you looking towards like the wide receiver for sophomores?
Well, I like the first two that you mentioned, but I'm actually going to Higgins' price has probably gotten to a point to where he's a lot closer to Jefferson than he is to the other guys. I'll start with Pittman and Indy. And nothing against Phillip Rivers. He had a very good year. If you look at him statistically across the board, but rookie wide receivers aren't always Justin Jefferson. And I like the way that the Colts are using Michael Pittman. He is going to be really, really good. He's got the size to win, tougher matchups. I like how they're trying to get him involved at the line of scrimmage to allow him to get the yards after catch. But he can also catch the ball down the field. He's a well-rounded wide receiver. And they will be bringing back, hopefully he can stay healthy, a very nice compliment in Paris Campbell. I think we can, because he's had injury issues his first 2 years. If he could just stay healthy, that is the perfect compliment. I'm not sure what T.Y. is going to do. He's going to be a 30 or 31-year-old free agent. And I know he's been here for almost 10 years. Maybe he takes a very team-friendly deal to stay here in Indy. But Michael Pittman's volume is going to go up. My only concern would be is if they bring in a tight end. Chris Ballard, I think after spending 2 second-round picks in 2020 on Pittman and Taylor, and they're going to need to reinvest in the defense. So I love Pittman. Mims is the one that I'm concerned with because the Jets have something like five.
Sorry,
you're good.
Before we just go off Pittman, quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest concern, I love Pittman coming out, and my biggest concern was that he was going with Phillip Rivers. Not so much from the fact that like Rivers doesn't mind throwing the ball down the field, jump balls, and he's done it his whole career because he's had the guys to do it. But it was more the fact that, and even though he had a good year this year, he possibly not back next year. So
I doubt Phil's back next year.
Yeah. So what happens at the quarterback position?
Here in Indy, we say in Ballard we trust.
Okay.
There have been some other dynasty and fantasy and analysts out there who question Chris Ballard. The guy has delivered 4 All-Pros to this team. They got DeForest Buckner for a first-round pick. How many All-Pros can you get? Look at what the Jets gave up for. The Jets got for Jamal Adams, and look at what the Rams gave up for Jalen Ramsey. And then the Colts got an All-Pro for like the 18th overall pick last year. That's criminal. In some some countries, they'll cut your hands off for stealing like that. So I believe in Chris Ballard. I have heard rumors of them potentially getting Sam Darnold, interest in Matthew Stafford, interest in Carson Wentz. I feel very confident that Chris Ballard will get us someone of at least an above average or at least average level. And then I trust Frank Reich to coach him up. I mean, his career has not been the same since Frank left, but look at, Carson Wentz with Frank Reich and without him. Look at Phil Rivers this year versus last year. So from the Indy standpoint, I don't know who it will be, but I know it will be someone to go. And I know he's going to be very aggressive because the Indianapolis roster, there's a podcast that I listen to called the 3 and Out podcast with John Middlecoff. And he's an ex-scout in the league. And he feels like Indy has one of the rosters that could beat the Bills, beat the Baltimore Ravens, beat the Kansas City Chiefs if they had the right quarterback. And I think Chris Ballard knows that. And I trust him to go out and be aggressive this offseason to get us someone to allow the Colts to compete.
Okay, now you Mims. You want to get on to
my fear with Mims is this. He feels more Robin than Batman. This is another very loaded class. I heard yesterday that I believe it was Peter King of NBC, feels like the Jets are going to stay with Sam Darnold, which if you like Mims is a good thing. They've already got some rapport and some connection. But my fear is that they're going to bring in a Jamar Chase. They're going to trade back out of that 102 and really accumulate a lot of talent. And my fear is that someone like a Chase, like a Smith, a Waddle will wind up on this roster, and they'll relegate Mims to a wide receiver 2 on his own team role. Not that he can't be good, but that's one that there's too much incomplete information for me to overextend trying to acquire Mims right now. And another one that I wanted to throw in, because I don't want to be a negative Nelly. You brought T. Higgins. I think his value is a little high. I want to talk about Laviska Shenault, another rookie. I see a thumbs up from my man AJ. What is Laviska getting? It's going to be tacked on to the price, but he's getting Trevor Lawrence. He's getting Urban Meyer. He's going to be surrounded in an offense with DJ Chark and James Robinson and who knows who else they bring in with all their draft picks. He is going to be a guy that could be a big winner. So I have not heard that a lot, but depends on how savvy the Laviska owner is.
So is there, while we're on the wide receivers, the sophomore, is there anybody else that maybe like I like what Chase Claypool offers as a receiver. His quarterback situation, he's probably got one more year with who's there in Ben. And that'll be pretty much about it. Jerry Jeudy, possibly. Any comments on either of those two guys?
I'll start with Claypool. So Claypool is going to be, to your point, a little bit of an X factor. It depends on how much you want to gamble. You're getting a great talent, a physical specimen, amazing athlete. The Steelers let go their offensive coordinator, Randy Fichtner, which I don't know why you would ever let go of a guy named Randy, but hey, whatever. They let him go. And
Toyota.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably driving something nicer. But they let him go. We know Big Ben's got 1 year left, and he was kind of a popular darling. I feel like Jerry Jeudy, when our boy Cortland Sutton gets back to business in Denver, I feel like Jerry Jeudy could be more of a Robin than a Batman. I don't want to put this evil on him, but I could almost see Jerry Jeudy being almost Sterling Shepard-like.
Oof.
But yeah, and I hate to say it because I was a big Jerry Jeudy guy there. That quarterback situation's weird. The Broncos are drafted 9th overall. Will they go another season with Locke? It's just a lot of ambiguity there. So,
but that's not a bad thing, though. But
no, not at all.
Not a bad thing because you got to make up a roster, and they have a number, number 2 and number 3 guy.
If you can get Laviska, or not Laviska, I'm sorry, but Jerry Jeudy, if you can get him late at the right price, part of what you do as a savvy owner is you take some of this ambiguity and uncertainty, and you use that in your negotiations to drive down the price. Hey, dude, what does his quarterback situation look like? Hey, what does his role in the offense look like when Sutton comes back? What if his head coach gets fired? I'm taking on the uncertainty, and you're getting out of an uncertain asset. You got to buy and you got to sell. So you can kind of use some of that to your own advantage, or you can be taken advantage of. But that's why you listen to the Aussie Guys, the #1 Australian-based fantasy football podcast.
That's why we got you on here, mate, because you're doing all the talking. We're just asking questions. Okay, we'll quickly jump across to the running backs quickly. So we've got, we've seen what Jonathan Taylor can do. Like his last quarter of the season was outstanding. Yeah. We've got DeAndre Swift. We've seen what he could do eventually when they started using him. J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who probably see a bit more work next year. And we've spoke about this. Memphis is what Andy Reid does with second-year running backs, how they explode. We got the undrafted free agent in James Robinson. So is there any of the sophomore guys for next year, running backs, that you're interested in maybe acquiring before?
Antonio Gibson?
Yeah, Antonio Gibson.
You brought him up. That was my guy. So I'm going to give you 3 of those guys that I like. Antonio Gibson. I had one of our Patreons reach out to me and ask me if I was concerned about the football team bringing on a new GM. I'm absolutely not worried about that. Why? Because Ron Rivera is going to have a large hand in bringing in that new GM. Ron Rivera and the offensive coordinator, Scott Turner, who I'm a huge fan of, they brought this guy in. They expanded his role as the season went on. And he is my number 2 buy. But I love him. I love that offense. I think I know they're going to get a quarterback upgrade in Washington this offseason. And you got to give part of the credit, obviously a large part, to the talent that is Christian McCaffrey. But Scott Turner was the guy who took Christian McCaffrey from a RB1 to the RB1. And remember, Antonio Gibson did not have a huge rushing profile coming in. He really cut his teeth last year kind of on the fly in the pros. And if you just want to go back and rewatch that Dallas Cowboys game from Thanksgiving, that's all I need to see. If you're watching this in the States again, or you're listening, you have about 9 hours to go out and get Cam Akers before he puts in more work against the Green Bay Packers. If you want to know how in 2021 and potentially longer that Sean McVay and the Rams are going to use him, go back to Todd Gurley in 2018 and the early part of 2019, because that is the role. The Rams rush the ball. It's not, you hear Rams, you hear Sean McVay, you think of the high-flying passing offense. The Rams rush the ball 44.9% of the time in 2020. They want to run the ball. They have a top 3 graded offensive line per Football Focus. That is a great spot. And the other one was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We already talked about Lev Bell's going to be on. He was kind of an insurance policy in case of COVID, in case of injury, for a team wanting to repeat the Super Bowl. Darrell Williams could be gone. I don't know about the other Williams, the one that took the COVID set out. There was Damian and Darrell. And here's the thing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he disappointed so many in your dynasty leagues that there could be a disappointment discount. And I will tell you, I mentioned it earlier, and I'll have you guys on, and I would love to come back on during rookie season to talk rookie running backs. Right now, for me, if the rookie running backs' names aren't Travis Etienne or aren't Najee Harris, I will gladly take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If you're in a 1 QB league and you have like the 104, 105, and you need a running back and you don't need a wide receiver, that's the perfect pick to offer for a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because you're not going to get someone. And if you draft a running back in this class at the 104, you're either way overdrafting someone or you're reaching at talent at that point. So I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He is at the top of my buy list.
Okay, that's good. Now, he's at the top of your buy list. So next question is, the guys that you're selling, that there's so much hype about them now that you think you can get a really good value for somebody. Someone
Second,
that you think
second year guy?
Or anybody. Anyone.
Man, I hate to say it, and you got a young guy. He's a top. We just did our overall dynasty startup rankings for the wide receiver position on the Warzone this past Wednesday, the 13th. But I mean, I'm gonna take at least questions on Justin Jefferson. If I can get a massive overpay, because here's the thing, he's got a very defensive-minded head coach. So I have pros and cons. We started to see a little emergence of Irv Smith. We started to see a very pass-happy offense. Why? Because the defense is bad. And Mike Zimmer is an incredible defensive coach. And Mike Zimmer ran, John DeFilippo out of town because he passed the ball too much. My question is if the defense gets better in Minnesota, which under Mike Zimmer I fully expect it to be, does that limit the volume in which Justin Jefferson gets?
Mate, we just lost a viewer, and I reckon I know who it is, and because you're talking about getting rid of Justin Jefferson.
Don't hear what I'm not saying. Don't hear what I'm not saying sell Justin Jefferson. But if someone wants to, here in the States, we have an armored car service called Brinks. But if someone wants to back up an armored car, a Brinks truck, to get, I'm going to listen. You know, I have Jonathan Taylor. I won a championship with Jonathan Taylor, and I'm a Colts fan, and I'm always listening. I'm always going to talk and listen because everyone's got a price. I don't care how good you are. For me, there's about 3 to 4 untradeable guys in all of fantasy. And as good as the wide receivers position's been the last 3 to 4 years, and with more on the way, that's a replaceable asset. If I could move Justin Jefferson and something in a Superflex league and move into a Deshaun Watson, a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, hey, let's talk. Let's absolutely talk. Not that I don't love him, and it would take the right deal, but everyone's movable. And I do have small, because I have small fears about what could change in his situation.
Okay. AJ, got a question before I ask Randy another one?
No.
Okay. No. So, mate, there's always guys that are on your roster, Memphis, that are risks. Like you see them and you look at them and you go, I have a feeling about it. I just got to give them a bit more time, but they're always risks because you might knock back an offer from somebody, or you might be able to package them up and get rid of them for somebody else. But there's always that sort of guy that you want to risk on your roster, or you want to even risk and go and get off somebody else's roster. So is there someone that they're probably not looking at him the same way that you are?
Well, for me, it's James Robinson. The word I keep hearing from other dynasty services in the industry that James Robinson is someone you should move. And if you want to cash out, we were using the finance, comparison earlier in the show. If you just want to cash out and move on to something else, that's fine. Because of our good friend, you've been in the league with him. So is AJ. We've all been in the league with Shane Hallam. We all knew about James Robinson because we're friends with Shane Hallam, and he had been talking about James Robinson for a couple of years. So for my dynasty rosters, I was very saturated with James Robinson. So if you want to move a couple, just the same way if you wanted to move some assets because you bought something early in the finance market, you want to like hedge and cash out. But James Robinson is someone that he's risky because they do have so many draft picks. But I am going to bank on the fact that he had a very good passing grade and pass protection. He caught the ball well. And I'm also old school. And so I think so is Urban Meyer, his new head coach. And if what's the old saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They have a lot of things they could address on that Jacksonville roster. Why would you want to replace first of all, a very cheap undrafted free agent? Why would you want to replace that at a higher cost with more draft capital? Because you got lucky. It doesn't happen every time. James Robinsons are a rare bird, if you will. But why would you risk it? But I'm going to use that risk if I don't have James Robinson on a roster. And again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but a class from a rookie standpoint that I project as weak. Because even if James Robinson, quote unquote, gets competition, who are you scared of? Unless you think they're going to take with one of their two first, if you think they're going to take Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, then James Robinson's got problems. But I've said this before on my show, and it bears repeating. There's not too many guys I'm scared of taking James Robinson's guy, but people are.
About their offense, are they? They're not worried about, mate. They got Morphs. They got so many problems on defense.
Their defense is a shit show.
Yeah,
their defense is a mess.
It is. So I think you're pretty safe with James Robinson, and I really like that. Is there someone that everybody always talks about like the known guys, the top guys, but your roster's always made up of most dynasty leagues. You probably start in some of them. If you could start with so many flex positions, you could have 5 wide receivers starting 1 week if your running backs suck and you only start 2. So who are some other guys that like lower down? The order when you scan through, anybody's, dynasty and keeper list that you'd be looking at, just the sort of the guys that just that have to make up the numbers on your squad.
The lunch pail guys.
The lunch pail guys.
So like from a young guy perspective, if you want to gamble, Gabriel Davis of the Buffalo Bills. I don't know. John Brown is going into year 3. I think he's either in year 2 or year 3 of his free agent deal with the Bills. He gets a little bit pricey. I think they'll keep Cole Beasley, but this is a team that's going to be on the rise for a long time. Great head coach, great young quarterback. Where are they going to, continue to invest their assets? I think they need a little help on the defense. I mean, they need some pass rush. They could use some additional help in the secondary. So that's going to leave a guy who's starting to slowly emerge like Gabe Davis. Because on my dynasty rosters, what I don't want is I don't want a bunch of cloggers. I don't want a Sterling Shepard. We've seen the best of Sterling Shepard. What is he, 5 years in at this point? A guy that I don't mind in that range is Corey Davis. He's going to get a change of scenery in March. And if he lands in the right spot, if he chooses a Green Bay, if he chooses a
I can't believe you brought up his name. Of all people to bring.
Well, first of all, I am the perfect guy to debate and have discussions with, because if you can bring to me compelling evidence of why something's going to change, I'm going to listen. And if you convince me, I will change my way of thinking. I'll use my man Baker before I go to Corey Davis. I'll use my man Baker Mayfield. Anyone who's listened to me for any amount of time knows that I am not I am not a fan, but Baker the competitor has won me over. I like the way that he's playing. Now, you'll never see him on my Superflex rosters. I think he's a guy who's going to live in that QB 13 to 24 range his entire career, and that's okay. There's plenty of use for that, but he's already in that range now, and we're getting ready to bring in, 3 more quarterbacks? But that doesn't mean I can't change my mind and say, hey, I was partially right on Baker, but I was also partially wrong, and I have to address the wrong. Corey Davis has potential, a very good athlete, good NFL draft capital. They weren't able to potentially properly use him in Tennessee. What does a new lease on life? And again, I'm getting him at a depreciated price. Because what am I looking to do with Corey Davis? I'm looking to get him now before he hits free agency so that he can hit free agency, generate some buzz, and I can move him off for a profit at some point in 2021. He's not a long-term play. He's a risky play. None of that narrative could play out, but that's a risk. That's where the cost versus the risk are a good target.
Okay, so we spoke about your love of Corey Davis, and now your love of Baker Mayfield.
Nick Whalen will be so proud. Nick Whalen and Garrett Price will be so proud of me.
Props to Baker for living at the stadium too. I think that's
quite a
thing to do for Cleveland.
A lot of square footage. A lot.
Yeah.
That's part of what won me over with Baker. So if you watch those commercials, you see his wife in there, which I think is neat. You see his left tackle, the rookie Jedrick Wills, has been in a couple of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one with the book club. The heavier set African American gentleman. That's Jedrick Wills. That's his left tackle. Jedrick Wills doesn't get that job unless Baker Mayfield says, "Hey, I would like to get a job for my guy." I love it when you bring the whole team along, and I'm seeing some of that in Baker. Again, for my dynasty and fantasy rosters, it's all about points at the end of the week. So I can like him a lot more as a guy than I can like him as a dynasty asset. So there you go.
Okay.
That's a lot of upkeep on that stadium, even with one groundskeeper.
Hell yeah.
Damn. Okay, so the third guy I'm going to bring up is probably not going to go into the Baker Mayfield and Corey Davis new love with Memphis, but this I don't know if you might have an idea who I'm going to talk about, and that's Joe Mixon. What are we doing with Joe Mixon? Like you and I have spoke about it. What are you doing?
For me, the term on Joe Mixon I'm going to continue to use is I'm happy to be wrong. I never root against these young men to be successful. I don't root against them to be bad because it matches my analysis. I just know that at Joe Mixon's cost, I saw it come up from Ryan McDowell of the DLF, that Mixon's going around 25th overall in ADP in startups right now. So that's the start of the third round in a 12-team league. That's still too high for me. I mean, we're going into year 5. We've got 4 years of evidence, and there are younger. That's too high for me. That's where the risk reward ratio is too out of whack. I mentioned the
situation's still good though, isn't it? Like he is the guy.
If I have Joe Mixon, I'm holding Joe Mixon.
Okay.
There is nothing that I could. There is nothing. I mean, if someone wants to overpay, or we can factor out an equation where he moves in a deal. Yes, absolutely. I think the most prudent thing that you can do if you have Joe Mixon is hold Joe Mixon. Hope that he gets off to a banger start the first half of 2021, and you can recap as much of that initial acquisition cost as you possibly can going into and I see a comment, and I know Benjamin Holler. I notice him. Zach Taylor may be, now that Matt Patricia has gone, my least impressive head coach in the NFL. Why in the blue hell would you be having your franchise quarterback? You finally got the guy. You won the lottery. Congratulations, dummy. You got the 101. You got Joe Burrow. And let's have him drop back 55 times a game behind a shit offensive line. Can you really trust that guy? The worst. So no, for me, I like Joe Mixon, the talent. He's still fairly young from an NFL standpoint, but no. For me, I would much rather have guys that I think will also be going on in that range. Swift. I would rather have Antonio Gibson than Joe Mixon. I see more upside and more. So when you acquire something, especially at that cost, you want it to go up a little bit. And I don't see Joe Mixon's value doing nothing but going down for the most part. You might get a slight bump with a good start to 2021, but man, year 5 for the running back position.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for his breakout year. Like, what's his best season? What is it? I think it was
RB12,
like 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns.
He's had his breakout year,
but that's not a break. But that's what people. I've had a discussion with someone. I was trying to do a trade with him, and I said that to him. I said he hasn't had a breakout. He said, yeah, he has. I said, well, 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns is not a breakout year.
I mean, that's what James Robinson did this year.
What did Jonathan Taylor do this year? He probably did better than that. And he's a rookie.
James Robinson. If you tell me, how about this? Maybe we can make this a Twitter poll. I'll put it up on my Twitter at DWZ Memphis. James Robinson or Joe Mixon in a startup? I am taking James Robinson 99 out of 99 times. I get already walking the door. I got a better head coach. I don't know who his offensive coordinator is, but they're already better. He's 3 years less service in the league. His quarterback's Trevor Lawrence. So at the worst case, Trevor Lawrence is a push with Joe Burrow. That's worst case with only upside to go. I've got LaVisca. I've got Chark. I've got Keelan Cole. So the weapons for me are about a push with Higgins and Boyd. The offensive line's probably a little bit better in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got more picks. Jacksonville's got more cap flexibility. Joe Mixon or James Robinson? Give me James Robinson. Even though the one thing that Joe Mixon has is the contract. He just got paid. So he's going to be there for a little while. But I will still take I will risk it for the cost at James Robinson.
Okay, mate. So we're at the hour. One more question before you go and let you get to work. Is it snowing in the back around there? Is it snowing on the trees?
It snowed a little bit here. The sun's starting to come up here in India. Yeah, we got about, I don't know. We got what we call here in the States. You guys probably don't get much snow in Australia. We call this a dusting. This is a dusty snow. You can still see the grass. But a little bit, we'll stay on the trees and the bushes and whatnot.
Yep. Okay. Mate, any guys, bargain basement guys, like who you bargain bin guys that you're going out and grabbing now that are worth what people are thinking that they're not worth what they are? So you walk up to the shop and they got the bin at the front. That's where I usually shop for my sporting gear and stuff. I don't go inside the shop because that's where the expensive shit is. I just shop at the bits at the front.
As a guy who spent 17 years in retail management, never pay retail, kids. Never pay retail. Because there's always a deal. If you like that pair of Nike sneakers, guess what? Eventually they're going to go down. There's a very few exceptions, but for the most part, styles and colorways change over time. You'll get a discount. Here's a great.
There's an 86-inch TV that I'm looking at, mate, and at the moment it's like $5,000, mate. Give it another 12 months, and it'll be $1,500.
Hey, and with your health and rate of income, man, that's a great future purchase for you.
Weekends work, mate.
Hey, that's why you go to work, so you can buy the TV. A guy that I love, if you played tight end premium, which you, me, AJ, we all do. A guy that I love, and we saw flashes this year, was rookie Harrison Bryant. Now, Austin Hooper come on strong down the last couple of games. He come on strong in the playoffs. But here's why I like Harrison Bryant. A, he flashed as a rookie when so many rookie tight ends do not. And this past offseason, Austin Hooper signed what was at the time the most lucrative tight end contract at the NFL. I think George Kittle and Kelsey have since supplanted him there. But, Cleveland's going to have to pick up Baker's fifth-year option. That's about $30 million. They just paid Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, a corner. This is what happens, and the Colts are going to have this too. When you do a really good job of hitting on these rookie picks in the NFL draft, the ugly underside of that is at some point you're going to pay these guys big money. Like the Colts, they're going to have to pay Quentin Nelson. They're going to have to pay Darius Leonard. And when the Browns start making those choices, they're going to say, hey, we have this really young guy that we like in Harrison Bryant, or we can save $9 million and cut Austin Hooper. Austin, brother, it's been great. Thanks for helping us get to the playoffs, but the door's that way. And for those reasons, I love a young guy like Harrison Bryant in a tight end premium. And, other positions.
We just get the question here. Thoughts on Darnell Mooney?
I
have him in a stack of Dynasty League.
I am ashamed that because I already used Gabe Davis. I didn't want to go back to the Gabe Davis well. But, yeah, Darnell Mooney is fantastic. If I had to put a number on it, I would say Robinson's probably 95% to leave Chicago this offseason cycle. It's a good free agent class, so maybe the Bears bring in somebody. Anthony Miller's been okay. He's been a better pro than a dynasty or fantasy piece. So got speed. He's got upside. He's not a guy that I would look to have long term, but yeah, dirt cheap right now. Because again, I love that thought from the listener and the watcher on streaming with us is that, yeah, Darnell Mooney is going to get an inflation in value. It's going to inflate when Robinson leaves. It might go down if they bring someone in, but it will go right back up in the season. And if they do bring Mitch back, that's great for him. You always want to have that little edge. It's a small edge, but you want to have that little edge of familiarity, which is something that Denzel Mims would have if Sam Darnold comes back. So Darnell Mooney, that's a damn good one. KJ Hamler from the Chargers. My man AJ is wearing a Chargers jersey right now. Is that KJ Hamler?
No, KJ Hamler's in Denver.
Who's the young man in Denver? Who's the speedster?
Denver?
No. In San Diego. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah,
it's similar to KJ Hamler.
It is. That's why I got him confused from like a size standpoint, a speed standpoint. They're very similar. And since I'm doing this from my phone, I can't look real quick.
I'm trying to look now. I'm trying to find him.
No, not Guyton. Ben's saying Guyton. No, it's not Guyton.
Not Jalen Guyton.
Hill. KJ Hill.
Thank you. There's KJ Hamler and KJ Hill. Look at that. They both KJH. Give me a break. Give me a break, people. KJ Hill. Yeah. KJ Hill. They just extended Keenan Allen. They brought Mike Williams back on the fifth-year option, so Williams will be back for one more year. But they more than likely, from a cap standpoint, they're going to have to let Hunter Henry go. So you might look at it starts with a P. Parham, the young tight end.
Yeah. Donald Parham. Yeah.
There's another guy you might throw a cheap acquisition on in a tight end premium because Hunter Henry's going to want Austin Hooper money, and he may not get that in LA. Yeah. So those are some of the guys. But yeah, KJ Hill, small, fast field stretcher, big arm QB. Maybe he's more of a best ball play type guy. But I love those kind of guys on my roster, and I'll tell you why. In those weeks in your head-to-head matchups when you're a tremendous underdog, I mean, do you really want to roll out T.Y. Hilton, who might get you 4 for 40 and a touchdown? Or do you want to roll out a guy like K.J. Hill or, like that who, he may give you a stinker, but he also may give you, 2 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the use of those guys like that. So there's a few that come to mind.
Nice. Anybody from you, AJ, that you're into? Can I just one more? Sure. When we're talking about the tight ends, mate, there's like I think if he didn't already have Irv Smith, I think the last couple of games this year that his value has just rocketed, you know, in a premium tight end league. But what about someone like David Njoku? Now, mate, maybe it's not all sort of working up top in here, but athletic wise, as a footballer wise,
there's no question.
No, the dude's got it. He's not going to be at the Browns next year.
Well, you're gonna make me go out on a Browns question, and I don't like that at all. But I will say this: David Njoku didn't work with Hugh Jackson's offense. He didn't work with Freddie Kitchens' offense. He didn't work with Kevin Stefanski's offense. You know, there's an old saying that I live by: if you ran into an asshole in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day long, maybe you're the asshole. And I think maybe Njoku may be the problem in this equation. I'm not saying Njoku's an asshole. I'm just saying that he's had 3 different head coaches, 3 different offenses, and he's yet to impress to the point to where they went out and gave Austin Hooper what was the highest paid tight end contract of all time and drafted Harrison Bryant. That kind of tells me all I need to know about David Njoku.
I'll give you another. Okay, we won't finish on a Browns.
All right, thank God.
No, but close to as bad or maybe worse. I'll give you another tight end, Devin Asiasi.
I like him quite a bit because Josh McDaniel, the head coach, offensive coordinator in New England, has had a good success record with tight ends in his career. I love giving you guys American sayings. You guys just love them in Australia. You know, Josh McDaniel and Cam, he had to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And Cam Newton was not what we call proficient at throwing the football in the forward pass. Great athlete, great guy, great running quarterback. But yeah, when they acquire a quarterback of some proficiency, I think Devin Asiasi has got a tremendous amount of upside. I liked him a lot coming in. I liked the landing spot when we thought that Stidham was going to be the QB because the tight end can be the safety blanket for a young QB. I would love to see Devin Asiasi catching passes from like a Mac Jones,
right?
In 2021. So yeah, there's a great low cost acquisition that could be a big winner.
Beautiful,
nice. Any others that you want to finish on, G?
No, mate, good. I've asked him a heap of questions. You've just sat there and
I have
just listened.
I love hanging out with you guys.
No, we appreciate your time, Memphis. And now that we're getting into the off season, although it doesn't sound like you're getting less busy, more busy. But we'd love to make more time to catch up with you. That'd be brilliant.
Especially start talking about some of these rookies. Now, mate, I was going to start like 10 days ago looking at the rookies, but I did my back. And, mate, there is nothing worse than sitting in front of a computer for like 3 hours every night with a bad back.
No.
Yeah, that is the worst. Yeah, we'll have you guys on. I don't know how we'll make it work with the time change because we've been doing a lot more via YouTube. I guess I can always post it on YouTube on the day. We've been doing what we call mock draft Mondays. That's how we're going to do our rookie content this coming season. Like this coming Monday, Jerry, myself, and a couple of guests, we're going to draft only the running back positions, and we're going to take rookies from this class, rookies from 2020, and rookies from 2019. And in what order? So that would allow the Dynasty listener to say, hey, where would these guys slot in Travis Etienne? Where do these guys slot in Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, guys like that? How do they fit in? We did that last week with the wide receivers. And we got to get you guys on. But we'll be doing mock drafts, man. We'll be doing all kinds of fun stuff. We'll get you guys back on. We love hanging out with you guys. And we
made of stern stuff down here. If you need us at 3 a.m.,
mate,
that's why we saw some jokes in the Twitter post yesterday about you guys doing it at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, guys, I'm doing it at 7 in the morning. Where I come from, compromise is the heart of good business. We got to work together to make this less painful for all of us. So we will do that again. We'll do that again and get you guys on.
I did ask you, Memphis, you give me a time and we'll work around you. And you gave me a time and I've gone, Okay, so that's 9 p.m. our time. Maybe he gets up early. He's gonna jump on before he hits the gym, or that's cool. And then Kyle from the SmackDown said, "You realise that's 5 o'clock in the morning?" And it's like, well, I did, but obviously I don't think Memphis really.
Like I said, I would never put anyone in position to where all of the work is done on their side. Like I said, I think we work together to give, in this case, the Aussie guys, listeners, as good a content and a show as we can. And then when you guys come on, we'll do the same thing on the Dynasty Warzone. So let's shoot for the same time in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk some rookies.
Beautiful.
Nice. Sounds great.
I'll get stuck into them.
Thanks so much,
guys.
Memphis. And obviously, people catch you on the Dynasty Warzone, and as you outlined at the top, lots of shows pumping through that feed, and it's fantastic. My fingers getting sore from deleting them all. Whoops, did I say that? No, I didn't.
Hey,
So-
well, first of all, I'm glad you did. I'm going to jump off on this. We do. We have Debbie/rookie content on Mondays.
Yep.
We have redraft content on Dynasty content on Wednesdays. We do gambling here in the States on Thursdays and Saturdays. If that's not for you, just swipe the one. I do that. I listen to, here in the States, Colin Cowherd from Fox Sports Radio. He has a basketball show. I don't listen to that. He has a baseball show. I don't listen to that, but he's got his show, and he's got one called 3 and Out, and then he's got a couple others. I listen to the ones that pertain to me, and I don't, but I still support him because he provides content that I like, and I would be graciously accepting any of the support that I would get in return.
We just need to work out that if you actually listen to a pod, how you can delete the other person that you're doing the pod with. I think is Jerry, the man of the hour.
Yeah, he is the man of the hour. But we've all learned to work with our great co-hosts. But speaking of great, you guys are great. Thank you so much for having me on.
No worries.
No worries.
Go in $1, man.
See you guys.
All right. Cheers, Memphis.
See you, dude.
All right. See you later. Okay. And it's back to just us, G.
Jeez.
So before we go, a few guys I can throw in here as well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give Memphis
Well, we got him on
the full attention
of course.
because he was our guest.
It was his show.
Yeah. Exactly. So here's a few guys, and I'll get your opinion on G. Austin Eckler.
I've never been an Austin Eckler bloke.
You haven't?
No.
Hang on, I can get
which is ridiculous when you're trying to score points, and that's what we're trying to do on our teams.
Yep.
But I've never seen him as like a workhorse guy.
No, well, I guess
and that's the problem with running backs. The guys that I like to purchase are workhorse backs.
No, but I'm not talking about him as being a buy. I'm talking about him as being a sell. Because new coach coming into LA. It's likely they will draft a running back because Austin Eckler is not 100% the guy. And yes, granted that he's a PPR machine, but he's no Alvin Kamara. I'm sorry.
Not many people are.
Well, yes. Fair point. Not many people are.
I don't think anybody is.
No,
they, really.
But I'm just saying, I feel like he's a bit of a sell. And I certainly wouldn't be buying him.
No, I wouldn't be buying him.
No. Okay, so that was
That's
one I
a
wanted
sell.
to bring
Yep.
up. Bargain bin. So this is in the category of bargain bin. Chase Edmonds.
Oh, I love shopping the bargain bin.
Chase Edmonds. Okay, Kenyon Drake's a free agent.
I think Chase Edmonds showed enough this year that he could be the back in Arizona.
Yes, I agree.
I have no idea what they paid Kenyon Drake.
Did
they get him on just a 1-year contract, or they?
Again, there's risk, right? And there's risk with all of these. But this is like rolling the dice. It could be a big payoff, potentially.
But I still have concerns about guys like Chase Edmonds, guys like J.K. Dobbins, based on the fact of who the quarterback is.
Yes, true.
And that's always going to limit. It's always going to limit your chances of score, especially, mate. It's like if you've got Singletary or you've got Zach Moss, it's like once you get inside the 10, don't even bother. Why even have a running back on the part? Because Josh Allen's going to punch it in.
Yeah.
He's a big enough guy.
Yes.
They allow him to do it. But the problem with J.K. Dobbins is that you have Lamar Jackson who can punch it in from 45 yards out. And that's the problem you have, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of J.K. Dobbins. I don't own a lot of his shares just because of where I was drafting in drafts last year.
Yep.
It doesn't allow me to get him. And so that is always a concern. And I don't think that, especially with J.K. Like, one thing I did like is when they got to the goal line, they used him.
Oh, true. He's got a streak of 7 or 8 touchdowns in a row, hasn't he? 7 or 8 touchdown games.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, this is the thing about Dobbins.
But it's always like, is he Dobbins the guy who's going to give you, like, it's great. He's going to give you 15, 16 fantasy points on average every week.
Sure.
But
off 10 carries.
Yeah, but you want that guy that can give you like 25, 30.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Is he going to be that guy when I'm paying dollars for somebody?
Yeah.
I need a guy that can give me those weeks.
Especially what Dobbins costs.
Yes.
Now, this is the question that I had, because and still this is happening in a league of mine. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything, but because I did ask you, because the trade value on Dobbins is very high. I've got a guy chasing me for Dobbins in a league.
He's still chasing you.
Yes, although it's sort of slowed down because of the off season. But just, but I do have an interested party for Dobbins, and the question I had was, look, you can't. It's not like you could flip Dobbins for, like, you know, there was a point in the season you could have flipped Dobbins for JT plus. You could have flipped, again, if you picked your right point, you could have flipped Dobbins for Swift plus, but you can't do that anymore. But you could you flip Dobbins for James Robinson plus?
Yeah, well, if we go by what Memphis was saying, is that people are as a little bit asleep at the wheel, probably still on James Robinson. In the fact we saw what he did, but there's always that undrafted free agent.
Yes, it's a draft capital argument. Yeah, I know.
And for some reason, that is always something that's in the back of people's minds.
Yes, I know. And Dobbins,
because it's just so easy to get rid of him.
The narrative on Dobbins is that he is still one of the top running backs in this class.
Why you don't take running backs in the first round? Because it costs, for a club, how much it costs.
Oh, hell yeah.
And look what happened last year. Jesus.
But yeah, it's just the landing spot for Dobbins. And what you could get for Dobbins this offseason is probably fairly substantial.
Yes.
I think. But anyway, so yeah, that's a so in the same bucket as Chase Edmonds, I saw Ben's comment about the Arizona offense. Even more bargain bin than Chase Edmonds. What about Eno Benjamin?
I need to go back and have a little bit more look at Eno Benjamin, to be honest.
Not bad, G. And especially if Drake goes. And again, we're assuming, do they get anyone in? Do they draft a running back? You know, probably not, but they might get someone in though.
Why wouldn't they draft a running back? I don't know. Look, I don't know what the salary cap is, and
I don't know.
The picks are.
No, I'm not sure. Another guy
but like guys like that, they're the sort of guys that are going to cost you nothing to go and get.
Yes,
basically.
I know. Oh, Eno Benjamin,
and like we were saying,
nothing.
like we said to Memphis, you know, what are the risky guys, the risky guys that you're willing to keep? And let me I've kept a lot of risky guys and they haven't paid off, but that's part of what we do.
Yeah,
is you take that risk, and there's the guys you go out and acquire that are risks.
We're in the $1 shop.
Yeah,
no kidding. I got some more $1 guys for you. Quintez.
Yeah, but if they're only costing you $1,
what's the risk?
What's the risk?
Quintez Cephas.
They take up a spot on your roster. Like, Jesus, mate, there's guys on my roster that I've had for like 3 years and they've never played a goddamn game for me because I'm still waiting for them to break out.
Yeah. Some of these are better.
You know? Better Darren Waller's killed me. I had him everywhere, and I got rid of him everywhere after like 4 years.
Well, that wasn't unreasonable. That was long enough.
No, but he's making me keep guys now, just in case I am right.
What about Cephas, G?
I was going to bring that up with Memphis. The quarterback situation in Detroit, with what's happening with Stafford,
Galladay
is a concern.
Free agent Galladay.
Yeah. So is he?
Yes,
he's a free agent.
Yeah, they could only have Marvin Jones and Cephas.
Okay. That is a concern, is because you match up your running back with your wide receiver with your quarterback.
Yep.
And I did want to bring that up with Memphis about Cephas, but it's just like, do you go out and you go and acquire him in the hope that Matt Stafford stays?
Yeah, I guess. But it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, if there's someone else in there, it makes a difference. But
of course it doesn't. It makes a huge difference.
But Galladay, what I was thinking more was about Galladay potentially leaving.
See, Marvin Jones is not a number one wide receiver.
No.
And these are Cephas. He's not. No. So that just makes that whole offense just terrible.
Yeah.
Just make go out and get DeAndre Swift. That's what I'm saying to you. Maybe Adrian Peterson. Maybe he gets another shot next year. No.
Now I've got another one, and I don't know. I don't think we mentioned. Well, we mentioned this before I hit record, but I don't think we mentioned it with Memphis, and that's Anthony Fursker in Tennessee.
Yep.
Jonnu Smith is a free agent. Corey Davis is a free agent. And Fursker,
really, Smith really had his opportunity down the stretch, didn't he, to really cement himself, and he didn't take it.
He came out first quarter of the year.
Yep.
He came out.
We thought, here we
guns
go,
blazing.
Here we go. He's going to roll over this year from the start of last year, the end of last. Geez, now I'm saying
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Still haven't caught up. Yeah, and then here we go.
Bang.
He's here.
Yep.
And then he just faded away.
I thought Jonnu Smith, here we go, top 5 tight end. He's here. He's arrived. And it never really sustained.
No.
But Fursker played well down the stretch and in patches. And I think with Jonnu Smith off the roster, it would make a big difference. Ben says here, Jacob Hollister. You know what? I'm actually more in the Will Disley camp. I don't know. Gee, you can be the type.
Honestly, I'm not touching any tight end in Seattle. I'm nervous about the wide receivers from the fact that Pete Carroll came out this week and said that they have to run the ball more in Seattle.
They have to run the ball more.
They have to run the ball more.
Okay.
So they've actually we're going to put the game in Wilson's hands and let him throw it around the park now. We all go, yes, DK Metcalf, yes, Tyler Lockett, yes, and it looked that way,
yes.
And then the second half, mate, he could. Where was Wilson? Where was Russell Wilson? He was just an average quarterback in the second half of the season.
He was,
and I think that the problem is the fact that Seattle, when they were really good, it was defense and run the ball.
Yes.
And I think that Pete Carroll is going to go back to defense and run the ball.
Yeah, and Ben says, with who?
With, what do you mean? Run it with who?
Yeah.
I might
Rashad Penny.
But it's the mindset. They'll find somebody to run the football.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So, let alone, a little bit concerned about, like, DK Metcalf is going to be at the top of everybody's shopping list in startups. Just a little bit concerned when Pete Carroll came out and said that. And especially because of when they were good and what they did when they were good.
Yes.
And now they try to change it and it hasn't worked as well. Let's just go back to what I am and what we know.
Yep. Ben's got one for us, Cole Kmet.
No.
Not a fan?
No. Sorry.
It's pretty cheap.
I don't think Cole Kmet was in my top 5. coming
Tight
out last
ends.
year. Yes.
No, Harrison Bryant definitely was.
Harrison Bryant was in there.
Yep.
Asi
Asi. Yeah.
was in there.
He
I think
was.
he was mate number 2.
Yeah.
I have to go back and have a listen.
Yeah.
But Cole Kmet, he just looks like a lumbering tight end.
Okay. A lumbering tight end. There's not many of those in the league.
No.
Most of them are lumbering tight ends, aren't they? Yeah.
That's why like Harrison Bryant stands out.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Did you have any others you wanted to throw in there before we?
No. Look, I was leaving this pretty much in Memphis's hands tonight.
Yep.
Just ask him the question and give him his wealth of knowledge, which he did.
Yes.
And as you said, Quintez Cephas was someone I was going to bring up, but I'm glad you did. But yeah, I was actually going to bring up someone like Will Fuller. Is a free agent.
Is he a free agent?
I believe he's a free agent. What do you, and especially with what's happening with Deshaun Watson too? He's not happy.
Especially what's happening with Will Fuller. G.
What's that?
Well, he is suspended for PEDs, so I can't imagine he's got good standing in the organization.
No, probably not.
So, and look,
I've got all about the PEDs.
A way to sabotage his season because he was looking like he had emerged, finally. Will Fuller, he's actually staying healthy and playing out, and he looks like a star.
Yeah, he's balling.
And boom, PEDs. So, Ben asks, Russell Gage.
Russell Gage is one of those guys that you put into your lineup when you need to fill up some spots.
Lunch pail?
Yes. Like you'd have like maybe a couple of really good guys. Then you have like your Jamison Crowder.
Yeah.
Like he's probably in that sort of ballpark.
Cole Beasley.
Yes.
No, that Crowder and Beasley are above Gage still, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
You're sort of in that realm.
Yeah.
And his outlook. Mate, I don't even know what we're doing with Julio. This is where you're trying to, like, people doing trades now. We have no idea what's still going on. There's still teams that need coaches.
No, but that's the risk reward.
It is,
isn't it, G? Because you know what? We can make.
You're better off than going grabbing guys like that that have played the season.
Yeah.
Like there's still, how many teams are still left? 12. 12? How many games are there? 4.
Yeah, so 12.
12?
Yes.
So
that's right, isn't it?
There's a group of guys like Randy said. There's with modern medicine these days.
Yeah.
He's not too worried. Mate, ACL still puts you out for.
Oh hell yeah!
The next season if you did it now.
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
I should have asked him about someone like Darius Slayton. Would have been a good one to bring up.
Oh yeah, that's true.
These sort of fringe sort of guys.
Slayton really dropped off too, man. But I mean, the whole Giants offense dropped off. To be fair,
the flash sort of guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And like he brought up Gabriel Davis, mate, fantastic. But he's the not lunch pail guys, but they're just the numbers guys. Like you put him in your lineup and you hope that he has that 2 touchdown, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 targets.
Ben's saying, what's the average lifespan of a wide receiver one in terms of fantasy? 4 to 5 years?
Depends how, but
they go up and down. So the best ones.
Geez.
I don't know, really. You know what?
So they come in at 23.
Yeah.
They hit their stride at 25.
Yep.
30. 5 years.
That's probably
4 or 5 years. Yeah.
I sort of took issue with something that Memphis said because he was sort of talking about.
Glad he's gone. You didn't do it while he was here.
No, I'm not brave enough.
No.
No, because he was talking about bailing on some wide receivers a little early in my mind. Like someone like Keenan Allen is pretty cheap.
Mate, he's not even that old.
And he's not that old.
what is he, 20? We spoke about this
I think he's
about a month
28.
ago.
I think he's 28.
27, 28.
Yeah,
He's got a couple of years to go.
he absolutely does. And he's
I'll
in
be
an offense with bloody Justin Herbert.
Mate, I'll be taking him for another. I'd hold on to him for another 12
That's what
months.
I would too.
And mate, and if you've got a roster that you need a wide receiver, and you think that one wide receiver of his caliber is going to win it for you,
yeah,
mate.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, I've got
But
no
the
problem with that
volume's
at all.
going to be there.
Yes, absolutely. Ben asks,
just a sophomore slump from Herbert. That's what we have to worry about.
Dawson Knox. He was dinged up this year a lot, wasn't he?
He was. Could he have a breakout? Gee, what year would that be? It'd be third. Would this
this year was his
next
second, wasn't it? So yeah, that's maybe. I think he's got the tools, hasn't he? He's got the physical tools to do it.
A lot of players with physical tools.
Oh, I know.
We just spoke about one that who's an arsehole. According to Memphis.
Yes, true.
Athletic arsehole.
Yeah. Ben says he's all in on Allen. See, new contract last year, Herbert under center. That's what I think as well. And you can get Keenan Allen cheap for that reason that Memphis said. Is a lot of people like Justin Jefferson. It's like the brand new, the new model, the new sneaker, right? That's in the window of the store. But if you go into the bargain bin, that's where you'll find Keenan Allen, and it'll be half the price.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, well, see, Justin Jefferson, I would argue because at the end of the day, it's about getting points, right? How many points is Justin Jefferson going to give you compared to Keenan Allen?
Don't start on Justin Jefferson because we'll have bloody Ben.
Oh yeah, I know that's true.
Yeah, I don't need that.
No. But I understand the argument that Justin Jefferson is a rookie. Well, not anymore, but just has had his rookie seasons. He's got many years ahead of him, and I get that. But I'm just saying, Keenan Allen's got a couple of good years ahead of him.
Now going back to the Dawson Knox thing, is that I think Gabriel Davis looking as good as he did this year might hurt Dawson Knox.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, possibly. I don't think there was any tight end getting much action in Buffalo really at all. Was there?
I don't think that Josh Allen's ever really used the tight end that much. Not that I don't think they've ever actually had one, to be honest.
No. Well, that's another truism. Ben saying Doug Peterson interviewing for the Seahawks OC.
Worry more about those wide receivers.
Okay.
They're not going to get, mate. They're just going to run the ball.
That's right.
Run the ball.
Exactly. All right, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up.
Wrap it up there. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone who joined us, and thanks very much to Memphis for coming on and talking Dynasty buys and sells. And hope you're enjoying the playoff action. I must confess that I did quite enjoy last week, just having that extra couple of games. Yeah, extra couple of games. But I always feel like this weekend this is the week. This is the most enjoyable week, I think, is what I call it, divisional round.
Yes.
Is usually the best quality week. When you get to the championship games, like if you're lucky, you get good championship games.
This is the comparable to the Premier League final for the AFL, not the grand final.
No,
it's the four best teams that are left is usually what they call it, the supporters round or whatever. It is
four best. No, but we're not there yet.
No. I'm saying this is the equivalent to when we're down to the last four in the AFL.
Oh, I see.
Because this is like the supporters round. Because when you get to the Super Bowl and the grand final, the supporters don't get the goddamn tickets.
No.
So, so that's where we're at this week.
Yeah. So it should be a lot of fun. Some good games on the slate for sure. And certainly lots of stuff going on with coaching vacancies and things as well. So, but anyway, we will have another show in a little bit, G, I imagine.
I'm just having
we do.
Before we go, I'm just having a look at Le'Veon Bell's. She's only 28. This year was like a showcase. He went to KC so he could showcase, for next year.
Yep.
He'll get a choice of where he wants to go, and he's looked good.
He's looked all right.
Yeah, he's looked good. Probably get him up for nothing. There's another bargain basement.
Oh,
player.
yeah, you can get him cheap for sure. Yeah.
I'm just looking at bargain basement guys at the moment.
Yep. Ben, it just hit me that the final 4 quarterbacks could be Mayfield, Jackson, Breeze, and Goff.
No.
No, it'll be Mahomes.
I'm
sorry, Browns.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. But hey, that's why they play the game, G.
Yes.
But sorry, no.
Yes. Don't even bother. All right, let's wrap this puppy up.
Let's wrap it up. So thanks, everyone. So enjoy this week of NFL action. And yes, Ben's yelling into the void. It could be. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It could be.
It could be. Yes. It could be.
And I could win Powerball next week and be $20 million richer. Could be.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
The Browns have a bit more chance of winning a football game than I've got winning tats.
Yeah. It's slightly more.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. And on behalf of G and myself, we'll catch you next time. I did it right.
You did well.
Yay. All right. Catch you, everybody.